Everybody, Jim and Roth here to talk about the Oscars.
Biggest night in Hollywood.
That's right.
Arguably.
It's this Sunday, and there are only a few possible shoo-ins. For the most part, it's a real horse race, at least when it comes to Best Picture.
Yeah, I think it's a dead heat, though. I don't think that it's really an open horse race. I think it's Gravity versus 12 Years a Slave. Absolutely. I think those are the two films that are racing their way to Best Picture. Everything else... Look, there's always a few wild cards every year. There's surprise winners every year.
Like Crash?
Yeah, that's what makes things exciting. But there's nothing at all in the precursor season to indicate that something like, and I know where you're going to go, so I'm going to say it, American Hustle would overtake either of these movies. I think at the end of the day, my prediction, 12 Years a Slave will take the Oscar.
See, I'm not convinced enough Oscar voters have actually seen the movie. Or
that doesn't mean they won't vote for it.
I don't know. Here's my theory. American Hustle... it won at the Golden Globes, which I know is its own thing, but it's also the SAG Awards really rewarded that film, and actors are the biggest voting block. And at the end of the day, Hollywood likes to pat itself in the back, and American Hustle is that movie. It's a movie that is actor-driven, performance-driven, and it sort of is a Valentine to the art of pretend, which is acting. And I just don't think, I hope 12 Years wins. I think it's the best film this year, even more so than Gravity, in my opinion. But I'm not convinced that even though it's the historical film and it's got that Oscar kind of sheen to it, I'm not convinced it's going to win. I think American Hustle will, because you don't need a majority, you just need a plurality to win. Now they have 10 nominees. And I really think with the actors block being the largest Oscar voting block.
By the way.
Yes. I think American Hustle is going to be basically this year's Shakespeare in Love or Crash.
I think there's an outside chance of that. I think there really is a very outside chance.
I think you're wrong. Next.
I really think that at the end of the day, that it is going between this cinematic achievement that is Gravity. I'm talking about on every technical level, a cinematic achievement. And more than that, I love Gravity, actually. But I think at the end of the day, 12 Years will win because I think that historically speaking, it's the right time for that movie to win an Oscar.
Yeah.
And I think that it will. I truly do.
I would love for it to win. I'm not, I should say my argument for American Hustle is, I guess, rather cynical and just sort of numbers driven. It's not the film that I want to see win. It's the movie I think will win.
But even in terms of numbers, I think that tracking the precursor season, yes, SAG aside, I really don't think that there's a big indicator that Hustle will take it, but we could be surprised. I mean, there are surprising wins every year. Yep. Let's talk about Best Director, which we both think is a lock for Alfonso.
Yeah, it's Alfonso Cuarón. I mean, he's won pretty much every directing award so far. I mean...
And the only other person that may bump up and surprise us would be Steve McQueen for 12 Years a Slave. Yep. But the truth is he's grumpy. I mean, I love his films. And
you have to campaign for the Oscars. You know, you really do. It's like running for political office in a way.
Yeah. He is incredibly talented. He's a remarkable filmmaker.
But he's a grump?
But he's a grump, and he's also made relatively few films.
Right.
So I think that what Oscar would do is say, okay, we're going to sort of like bookmark this guy, and we know that he is a super talented, visionary filmmaker. Maybe we'll swing back to him one day. Let's see how the rest of his career plays out. But I think that this year they're going to go, look at what Alfonso Cuarón did with that movie on every level, every single filmmaking level. He's going to get it.
Yeah, I think that is probably the biggest lock this year outside of like Best Song. Although, you know, Let It Go did lose at the Golden Globes, but that was a mistake.
And maybe visionary isn't the right word for Steve McQueen. He's just incredibly sort of...
I think his time will come, but I don't think it's this year. Let's talk about the Best Actor race. Now we have that...
This one's interesting.
This of all the races, this is the one I really feel like there are a lot of guys who could edge out a victory. I mean, McConaughey right now does seem to be the front runner. He has won SAG, he's won the Golden Globe.
And it's his year. I think that they're going to give him, I think that they would give McConaughey an Oscar, cumulative Oscar. I mean, first of all, he was amazing in Dallas Buyers Club. So
and I'm sure they're watching True Detective too, even though it's not movies. So I mean, he's like at his zeitgeist.
Oh
right
yeah,
now.
I think that the feeling about McConaughey at this time is not only would he get the nominee if all he had out right now was Dallas Buyers Club, he'd probably get the nomination and maybe win with it.
Yeah.
But he will win because there is also Killer Joe. There is also Wolf of Wall Street. There is also Mud to be considered. And there is True Detective. So I think it's more like cumulatively, this guy's got to get an award.
And they love the story of a guy whose career was basically one thing, and now look at him. Now he's Paul Newman, basically.
John Travolta in Pulp Fiction. They love that comeback kid story.
What do you think, though, about Leo, who has been campaigning very hard? He wants an Oscar.
Yes, he
does. I love him in Wolf of Wall Street. I think it's probably one of the best things he's ever done.
I think it's the best.
But I don't think enough Oscar voters actually probably liked Wolf of Wall Street. I don't know. You hear a lot of stories. They skew predominantly older, and there was kind of a backlash when the film came out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think with Wolf of Wall Street, I think it's more that to me, that's the best thing he's ever done. It was a unabashed, unrestrained, hungry, after it, digging in, like tearing the meat off the bone performance. It was f***ing amazing. So sorry. But there was a quality, I think, to that film, you're right, that it doesn't feel Oscar-y for that performance. It's not serious. It's not sort of about the,
If it were a supporting role, he could win like the way Pesci won for Goodfellas, but it isn't.
And it's also, it's sort of delving into the sort of greed and avarice of America in a way that probably makes people uncomfortable that are very wealthy.
Whereas somebody like, and I really think of all the nominees, Christian Bale has the slightest chance to win because I think it was a surprise, frankly, to me that he was not. Like, I love him, but I was surprised. And this again goes to show, I think, that American Hustle, because it's gotten nominated in every category, every major category, why I do feel like it's gonna get something. What about Bruce Dern or Chiwetel? I think Chiwetel's actually got a real shot.
I do too. I think that Bruce Dern does not. He was great, by the way, in Nebraska, but no. I think that if it's not McConaughey, it'll be Chiwetel. To me, you never know because DiCaprio has been in this business so long, and he certainly has a lot of friends in it.
But maybe DiCaprio and Leo are going to split the vote somehow.
Or Chiwetel and McConaughey?
Leo and McConaughey might split the vote because people are just, thinking about the two big stars. But Chiwetel is actually, he's given an amazing performance in 12 years.
Has.
I mean, the movie largely works not just because of McQueen, but because of Chiwetel's performance.
I agree.
And how restrained it is,
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. We're all excited.
Oh my God, the Oscars!
I agree. That movie rests on his performance. But you know what? Wolf of Wall Street rests on Leo's performance too. Yeah. And Dallas Buyers Club rests on McConaughey's performance. So I would say at the end of the day, I'd be happy with a lot of them. I would love to see Chiwetel win, but I love McConaughey too. I think he's going to win.
Okay, so we're going to have to start wrapping it up
who's going to win.
I think for actor, I think it's going to be McConaughey. I think in the actress category,
it's a lock.
We probably think it's Cate Blanchett is going to win. Although, I don't know, Amy Adams, she's got an outside chance.
If Amy Adams wins again, it's one of those things where at the very last minute, sort of people want to back American Hustle in a category possibly. Yeah. But I don't think this is Cate Blanchett. This one I think is an absolute lock. Cate Blanchett is going to win. Cate Blanchett should win. You should see that movie, Blue Jasmine, if you haven't. Her performance, people are likening it to Blanche Dubois in Streetcar Named Desire. Rightfully so. You should see this. Okay, well, I think we both agree Jared Leto, supporting actor, lock. Absolutely. Let's talk about supporting actress, and then we're going to wrap it up here. It's really just a two-woman race, isn't it, really, between Jennifer Lawrence in American Hustle and Lupita Nyong'o. Forgive me if I got her last name wrong, for 12 years. And again, I really think Lupita's going to win. I think she did win the SAG, didn't she? She did, and I think she should win. That performance again was extraordinary. Yeah. With Jennifer Lawrence, I actually think it would be a detriment to her at this point to win, because I feel that sort of America at this point would start to resent her. You know what I mean? It was like, how many goodies? And it's not because she's not amazing, she is, but it's like, how many goodies do you really need? You're going to be in the top 2 films of this year. Yeah, it would actually. You're going to have 2 Oscars. You're 22. You're gorgeous. Enough. Let this girl who did deliver this extraordinary performance, let her win. Yeah, and she's also in Nonstop. Yeah.
So
Well,
remember
in
that
any
this
event.
weekend.
She may have done nonstop before she did.
I know, I kid her. All right, animated film, lock for Frozen, I think, right?
yeah.
I don't think we're going to see Despicable Me 2 walk away with it. And Gravity, lock for visual effects?
Absolutely, lock for visual effects. One category that's sort of a crafts category that I do think is interesting, though, is makeup.
Ah, yes.
Because it's Bad Grandpa. It's basically Bad Grandpa versus Dallas Buyers Club.
With Lone Ranger, I think, thrown in.
Yeah, but I think Lone Ranger is in there.
Do you think we're actually going to live in a world where we hear the words "and the Oscar goes to Bad Grandpa"?
I do, because, and this is the reason why, is that Dallas Buyers Club it's great makeup and great hair, don't get me wrong. That's extraordinary work that they did on a very tiny budget, by the way. But a lot of that work was done with the weight loss. If the weight loss is really what made that movie, Bad Grandpa doesn't exist without that makeup.
Right.
The movie does not exist unless that makeup is done well. And it was.
An Oscar for fake genitalia.
I think
That's
it's going to
basically what
win, and I think the only reason that Dallas Buyers Club would win is because it's a prestige thing.
Right. All right, guys. Well, that's about it for our guesses.
I'm so excited for Sunday. Are you?
This Sunday, the Academy Awards. We're going to be live blogging it, and just keep it locked here to IGN Movies for all of your Oscar needs. Thank you.